It's almost 2026. Kylian Mbappe is 27 years old and he still hasn't won a single Ballon d'Or or a Champions League. And if I told you that in 2018, you would have probably laughed in my face. Yes, the generational talent, the speed demon, the guy who won the World Cup at 19 years of age. He still hasn't won these two trophies that, let's be honest, define most legacies in the biggest careers of football. So this is my opinion on Kylian Mbappe's future, and can he actually win a Ballon d'Or and win a Champions League trophy at this club, Real Madrid. So what actually went wrong in Mbappe's career? It was a lot, so let's actually start from the very beginning. Kylian Mbappe, born 20th December 1998 in France. He first exploded onto the scene at Monaco at just 16 years of age in 2015. He actually broke Thierry Henry's previous record at AS Monaco for the youngest player to ever debut for this club. A year later, he was already cooking Manchester City in the Champions League in that iconic AS Monaco team. And of course, if you perform on the biggest stage as a youngster, you will get recognition. Every club in Europe wanted this guy. But there was one that stood out. Paris Saint-Germain sent an offer of 180 million euros to AS Monaco, and it was a non-negotiable. AS Monaco signed the papers, Mbappe was gone to Paris. And he could have gone to other clubs. Bayern, United, City, Real Madrid. Even at that point, we were interested. But he went to PSG because AS Monaco had to accept that offer. This is still the second biggest transfer fee of all time. And this guy at this point was only 18 years old. And almost immediately after, the 2018 World Cup happened. And we all know how that went. Kylian Mbappe destroyed Argentina and Messi, scored in the final and helped France win a World Cup after 20 years. That iconic France team in 2018, the songs, the vibes, they finally won it, and Kylian Mbappe was on the rise. He was basically even inevitable. At his age, such a young age, so explosive, so good on the ball, such a good finisher. People actually thought he was going to be the next Messi and Ronaldo in winning multiple Ballon d'Ors and Champions Leagues. But of course, football doesn't follow every storyline. And Mbappe's career from that point on was a bit of a struggle at PSG, especially on the biggest club stage, Champions League. Not from an individual point of view, but the club point of view, struggling to win the Champions League. And after 2020, when they lost the final of the Champions League to Bayern, of course, in that weird COVID season, Kylian Mbappe was basically already one foot in Spain. Florentino Perez had his eye on him early, but this was finally a big chance. PSG has just once again failed in the Champions League. He is gonna be wanting a new club, a new challenge, right? It was almost done. We almost signed Mbappe. Then it came. The announcement video that I still remember to this day. Kylian Mbappe decides to stay. And you might be wondering, why would you do that? Madrid went on to, of course, win the 2 Champions Leagues, but we are going to get into that. But that contract that PSG put out till this day is one of the most disgusting football contracts I have ever seen. They basically made him the director of this club. And yes, he stayed at PSG. He was supposed to stay until 2025. That, of course, didn't happen. But this decision right here is, in my opinion, the biggest what if in Mbappe's career. Because, of course, he stayed at PSG. But Real Madrid, the very next season, the season he was supposed to join, Real Madrid went on one of the maddest Champions Leagues run ever. Comebacks against Mbappe's PSG, Neymar, Messi. We beat them. 3 goals in 15 minutes, Benzema. Next game, Chelsea, City, Liverpool. We went on to win the Champions League. Ballon d'Or went to his countryman at Real Madrid, Karim Benzema. And then Vinicius Jr. completely exploded onto the scene. And Mbappe was once again left behind with 0 Champions League trophy. And you know what's so ironic about this as well? The 2022 final happened in Paris as well. Mbappe is watching it all happen from Paris. But he is once again at the wrong club at the wrong time. And if that wasn't enough, the same year, he goes on to have one of the best performances in a final, in the World Cup 2022 final for France versus Argentina. France was done. We all know. We remember those moments. Messi scores. Di Maria scores the second. 2-0. Nobody is performing. Kylian Mbappe steps up with 3 goals in the final and a 4th in the penalty shootout. But he unfortunately misses out on the second World Cup, which is almost a defining moment in his career. If he won that second World Cup and completely single-handedly carried France to the final victory, he would have been regarded so much higher, in my opinion. But of course, Messi's story was already written. That was a script. We all know this. Once again, we are at a point. Mbappe's career is what if. And then years pass by. Failure after failure. PSG cannot win the Champions League, and Mbappe finally lets the inevitable happen. PSG let Mbappe go to Real Madrid for free. Of course, signing bonuses, all of this had happened, but he went to Real Madrid after Real Madrid won the Champions League once again, and Jude Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. arguably having a Ballon d'Or season, finishing 3rd and 2nd. Of course, in my opinion, Vinicius should have won that Ballon d'Or. But, you know, that's in the past. But once again, we are at this point. What if Mbappe joined in 2021? He could have gotten 2 Champions Leagues. Of course, that might have been different. But Real Madrid victorious in the Champions League once again, and Mbappe finally joins. Mbappe was the piece to keep this going, to start a dynasty, to win multiple Champions Leagues in a row. Unfortunately, as I said before, football doesn't follow any storylines. It's not cute, because Mbappe's 2024-2025 season might be the worst in his career and might be one of the worst seasons in Real Madrid history as well. Because at the start, the transfer felt illegal. We already have Vinicius, Bellingham, Rodrigo. We are getting this new role of Arda Güler after Kroos leaving, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde. And then Mbappe joins as well. Oh my goodness. Bro, football was broken. Everyone thought we were about to dominate everything. What happened instead? We won 0 major trophies in that season, and it was one of the worst seasons in recent Madrid history. For the first 6 months, it genuinely looked like Kylian Mbappe misplaced his talent with Mariano Diaz. It was like Space Jam. If you know the movie, when they touch the basketball and they take their powers, that's what it felt like. Because those first 6 months and the whole of that season actually was just horrendous. It was almost like we couldn't string anything together. And Mbappe, of course, from an individual standpoint, yes, he scored goals, but they meant nothing at the end of the year. The football was horrific. We had so many tactical misunderstandings. It was a total chaos from a tactical standpoint. Vini, Rodrigo, Mbappe all fighting for the same position and completely disrupting the team tactic and the team morale. Mbappe went on to miss 2 penalties in 1 week and missed a penalty at Anfield when we unfortunately lost 2-0 in that game because of Mbappe's penalty. And you would think, like, this happened maybe, I don't know, after 6 or 7 months, like later into the season, right? Right, guys? Right? No. This was in October. 2.5 months into the season. Carlo Ancelotti couldn't do anything right. There was a huge tactical misunderstanding between all of the players. Mbappe wasn't performing, and the only one performing was Vinicius Jr. those first 4 to 5 months. It just didn't look good on Kylian Mbappe, and everyone knew something wasn't working. And the rest of the season, it just showed that this Madrid team got it completely wrong. We couldn't figure out how to fit everyone in the team. There was constant changes and misunderstandings, and this just resulted in an embarrassing La Liga performance all season. We, of course, finished second that season to La Liga, and we won 0 El Clasicos. We lost 4 in a row. And Mbappe, of course, scored some goals in those games, but of course, guys, if you don't win, nobody cares. And that's what happened. Those losses included a 4-0 loss at the Santiago Bernabeu, 2 finals loss, and one of them being a 5-2, and the last game at their stadium when we lost the La Liga title to them after being 2-0 up in the first half. It just didn't make sense. This team just didn't make sense at all. And you know what's even worse? The Champions League, Madrid heritage. That's where we shine, right? It's finally time for Kylian Mbappe to finally lift the title. No, we got cooked by a food. Arsenal and Rice, a literal food cooked us. Imagine, the food is cooking you. You're not cooking the food is cooking you. Rice scored 2 free kicks and Merino finished the game at Emirates. And then, of course, even the most embarrassing thing was that close the roof, we are gonna come back, remontada. We didn't even win at the Santiago Bernabeu. We got knocked out by Arsenal in the quarter final. Genuinely, what was Madrid thinking? This was the lowest point of the season. And after all of this, Carlo Ancelotti got sacked. And you might be thinking, this season for sure couldn't get worse for Kylian Mbappe, right? Right? No, it got even worse. So much worse that his ex-team, Paris Saint-Germain, just won the Champions League the year that he leaves the club. And you might be thinking, raw, how is this happening all at once to Kylian Mbappe in the same season? That's not it. The guy who is his rival now finishes second in the Ballon d'Or ranking, which is Lamine Yamal, and his countryman who is winning the Champions League with his last club PSG, Dembele, wins the Ballon d'Or before him. If I told you that Kylian Mbappe would have 0 Ballon d'Ors in 2026 and Dembele had 1, you would have been saying that I need to go to a mental asylum. But it is the truth. Football is a mad sport. One of the most embarrassing seasons a player of this stature has ever had. Your ex-team winning the Champions League, your ex-teammate winning the Ballon d'Or, and you getting knocked out with the European giants, the team that has the most Champions Leagues, by Arsenal, who also, by the way, lost to PSG in that season the next game as well. I mean, at that point, it's genuinely bullying. But of course, Madrid have to move on. Carlo Ancelotti, as I said before, got sacked, and Xabi Alonso finally came in and started pretty well. Good transfers, good tactical display, new ideas, a great start to the La Liga season. Apart from that, 4-0 loss to PSG as well, which is honestly, it's mind-blowing how people forget that he got cooked by PSG 4-0 in the Club World Cup as well. But this is just peak for Mbappe. But we were flying as a team at the start of the season, We beat Barcelona as well, and individually, especially Mbappe, was flying. Goals, assists, and he equaled the record just now of Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 59 goals in a single calendar year, of course. But that's good, right? Guys, this is good. This is good, new manager, everything. No. Once again, as a team, nothing works. We currently are 4 points in the second place behind Barcelona in La Liga. Champions League, we have lost to Liverpool and Manchester City and have had multiple embarrassing performances against, for example, Olympiacos or Marseille. And in my opinion, we are playing some of the worst football Real Madrid has ever played. We are constantly changing tactics and we cannot get this toxic mentality out of the club, especially between the players and the manager right now. Vinicius is likely leaving, players don't trust the coach, and Xabi himself might already be on the sacking list for Florentino Perez. And we are at a point where Madrid is being called Mbappe FC. That's how bad it is for Real Madrid. And he is doing still this good. And the audacity these people have, that I still hear on social media, that it is Kylian Mbappe who is the problem at this club. Just imagine scoring 59 goals. And you could say, last season it wasn't the greatest. I agree. But this season, without Kylian Mbappe, we might be 4th in La Liga. And if you think he is the problem, he can't play striker, he can't do this, he only scores penalties, it's just blatantly a casual thing from you. And it's not true. Kylian Mbappe is the star of this team. And we need to build around Kylian Mbappe. People pick and choose which players they want to support and which players they want to hate. And if you support Vinicius Jr., you might as well hate Kylian Mbappe. Unfortunately, this is how it works these days. And if you are a great player, people hate on greatness. They will find something in your performance or something on your social media or off the pitch. They will find something. But this is not it. This is not the season to be hating on Kylian Mbappe. He has never scored more goals. He has never created more chances. He's on the same numbers at PSG on successful take-ons and dribbles. He is moving like prime Mbappe once again. And he is the most prolific goal scorer that is apparently not a striker, guys. But he's still putting up numbers similar to Harry Kane and Erling Haaland. So make it make sense that people still try to put it on Kylian Mbappe. We are witnessing another prime of Kylian Mbappe. Even if you don't like to hear this, it is the truth. And with the 2026 World Cup finally coming up in 6 months, I genuinely believe he can win the Ballon d'Or this season. That's if Real Madrid finally decide to do one thing right and build the team around Kylian Mbappe. Make him the left winger or make him the star of this team. Even if that means Vinicius Jr. has to leave. Because let's be honest, guys, Kylian Mbappe is never leaving this Madrid team right now. And if you are still thinking that he is the problem, you are not watching football with the right eyes. You're just not. And if that means Vinicius Jr. leaves or Xabi Alonso has to get sacked, I am all for it. Because Kylian Mbappe is a generational talent and he is the player that can win both the Ballon d'Or and the Champions League. That's just my opinion, of course. The Champions League might take a little longer, but his moment isn't gone. And this season is defining, especially that World Cup. If he wins France that World Cup, I'm going to predict it now. He's going to win at least one title for Real Madrid this season and finish top scorer of all major competitions that are on display this season. Champions League, La Liga, and the World Cup. And he's going to win La Liga and World Cup at least. And that's why I predict this could be the season Kylian Mbappe finally wins the Ballon d'Or. The Champions League, we might have to wait 2 years, 3 years, but it's going to happen. But with Real Madrid, this season, everything is possible. We might lose every competition. Mbappe can finish 12th in the Ballon d'Or as well. It can happen, guys. Everything can happen. But this team with Kylian Mbappe as their superstar can win everything. We just need to sort a few things out and Kylian Mbappe will do what he does best. Perform on the biggest stage. So that was my opinion on Kylian Mbappe's dream at Real Madrid. I think it's gonna happen in the next 2 to 3 years. The Ballon d'Or could happen this year as well. And please, if you have watched Ampa till this point, like, comment, subscribe. I, of course, want to know your opinion on this too. Can Mbappe win the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or? Or is it too late? You can have your own opinion, of course. I appreciate you so much for watching. I'm going to see you next time. Peace out.